you know that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are so far ahead of everybody else on this program that nobody's going to nobody's going to beat either one of them except one or the other. Nobody's going to touch them. Maybe Bobby Lashley, you can put that in there. Logan Paul with an asterisk. He probably won't wrestle for another 6 months. He's already hurt himself. And everybody else, it's these goofy gimmicks and these, bad names and these clownish outfits all interacting with each other at the same level, and nobody gives a shit. And this is from the company that used to have more stars than there were in the heavens. Just like MGM.
And they need stars right now. Randy Orton's out. Who knows if and when he'll come back. Cody Rhodes out. I think every estimate was it'll be at least until early next year before he can come back. Maybe January at the most optimistic.
Hey, the most fun, most interesting horse race next year may not be the Kentucky Derby. It may be CM Punk and or Cody Rhodes to the finish line at the Royal Rumble.
Very interesting. We'll see. We'll see if he can get out of that AEW contract. We don't know what's going on there, but...
Oh, I have a feeling if Punk just says, well, my lawyer will be in contact with you unless you give me a few $1 million and I'll be on my way. I have a feeling that'll be the dissertation on that one. But
if that happens, that's a while away. So we're talking about there's 3 potential main eventers who are not in the picture right now. Austin Theory.
I don't know, 2 months. Royal Rumble's in 2 months.
Austin Theory's a guy that needs to be elevated, and they seem to be doing it, and then they've just beaten the shit out of him over and over and made him look like a putz. So, I mean, I don't know.
They need Orton. They need Cody. They need Punk. And I mean, I would say they need Theory. They need him for the future, but right now he's completely meaningless. He started to mean something. They've backed up on that, but it's still, Theory is the best raw in-ring talent for the future amongst all of them, Cody, Punk, etc., because he's the youngest. He's got all that way to go, but they need stars now. They need names now. They need experienced veterans that are seen as top-level talent by the fans now. And they have very few of them now.
If you're WWE, do you have the same value on Wardlow now than you did a year ago?
Well, yes, because here's the thing. Right now, Wardlow does not mean what he meant a year ago in AEW. He doesn't mean anywhere near it because he was red hot a year, 9 months, whatever the time frame was. And now it's blah. They've killed him like they've killed off a lot of the other folks that got over on their own with their booking. But the WWE doesn't look at whether a guy is over now. The WWE looks at that guy and what they can do with him in their program in the future. And I would think that they would be confident that they could do, my God, this is not even making a compliment, but that they could do a better job of pushing Wardlow as a single superstar than AEW has. I don't even think that's even in question. But so they're not going to worry about how the guy's previous employer has bungled the fucking job. They like that guy. They like that talent and what they can do with him. So I would think they would still be interested. It wouldn't be as big of a shock right now if he left AEW and joined WWE because he's not as over in his current environment. And the big shock comes when somebody really over in their current environment suddenly jumps somewhere else.
Well, this wouldn't be a case of that, but if you were WWE, would you be interested in Nick Aldis?
I think I would, yes. Not only for the fact that he's still in shape and he's proven that he can work and carries himself well, doesn't have bad habits outside the ring that a lot of people have, but also Europe and the United Kingdom and etc., that's still an important market for the WWE, much more important than AEW, because they actually go there, the WWE. They run stadium shows there. So you can only get so much out of Drew and Sheamus. We need another jolly old Englishman or somebody from that part of the world.
Is that what he is? A jolly old Englishman?
Jolly old Englishman.
All right. Then he's set up naturally for a feud with the Brawlin' Brutes.
There you go. Who gets the Dickens Cup?
Is there anyone else out there that you can think of? Someone who the contract may come up in the next year or two? I mean, beyond an MJF, because we've discussed that over and over again. But who else is out there that you think WWE could grab? I mean, Braun Breaker's in the system, but he's still down there for some reason.
Well, and I know they don't want to rush him because they know that's the golden goose eventually. Because MJF is going to be huge, but MJF would lean more toward the Piper spot than the Hogan spot in the WWE hierarchy. They're always still going to want a guy like Braun Breaker to be that fucking guy. And Braun Breaker will be the guy, provided he doesn't get hurt. If he doesn't get hurt or sentenced to fucking prison, Braun Breaker will be the top star in the WWE in X number of years. Let's look at our list in AEW. Who else is there they could take that would mean a difference in the WWE? Bryan Danielson, that would be a...
Doesn't mean as much. Yeah, it doesn't mean as much today as he meant a year ago to AEW, but to the WWE fan who doesn't pay attention to AEW or just knows of it and doesn't pay close attention,
yeah,
it is a main event caliber guy coming back. Then it becomes how they use him.
Well, and that's why I was going to say that would be an interesting situation, because we got to remember the WWE fans, for whatever you want to say about either company, 70% or more of the WWE fans do not watch AEW. So they might just think, remember when, who was it? Somebody saw him in the airport, Kurt Angle, when he was with TNA, said, "What are you doing now that you quit wrestling?" And that was when TNA had 500,000 more viewers than Dynamite does. Danielson could make a difference because of the nostalgia factor. He's over with that audience, what he's meant there before. We just mentioned Punk. Moxley, would Moxley make a difference if he went back to the WWE? I mean, I know he wouldn't, because he won't get to play with his felon friends, and they probably don't want him except for the other company not to have him, because he's obviously a pain in the ass creatively. But what did Moxley mean as a single, as an individual in the WWE before he left?
I think Moxley could mean something. And again, I'm not a big Moxley fan, and I would think if he was in the WWE, he wouldn't be able to get away with as much stuff as he has in AEW, but he is still a member of the Shield. So you still have someone who is a natural setup for a feud with Roman or Rollins at any point until they retire. So for that reason, there's something there.
All right, and we mentioned Wardlow. He would prosper there. Miro. Is Miro still in AEW? Soon as he straightened up and became an ass-kicking beast, he disappeared.
And then we heard, oh no, he's just acting. And then the thing he acted in came out and he still hasn't come back.
Yeah, apparently they're shooting fucking Roots again. It's a multi-part series. He would work in the WWE. He wouldn't be a top guy, but he would work. And then, after that, Claudio just left. There's guys that would work on the roster in the WWE. The Gunn boys at some point in the future. Billy Gunn already has. Darby Allin, no. That would never... The size issue could not be overcome, I don't think. And also,
well, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but same thing with Rey Mysterio, people said. And I know they're not the same wrestler, but the size issue comes into play. If WWE treated him the way they treated Rey Mysterio when he first came in, he is something special. Even though he has this small size, he uses it as a weapon. You don't think they can make it work?
Okay, but hold on here. Boy, this is one case I wish we weren't doing radio and actually had video. You look at a publicity picture of Rey Mysterio physically, body-wise, from his days in, say, the late 90s in WCW and early 2000s in WWF. And then you look at Darby Allin's physique today. Ray was shorter than Darby and jacked to the gills. Darby is a little taller than Ray and has to run around in a garden hose to get wet. He's so thin. Plus, what I was going to say was probably even more of a stumbling block in the WWE. He obviously, I don't know whether Darby Allin's getting any direction being given any direction, but if he is, he won't take any, obviously. And if he's not, he might very well bow up under it, because the first thing they would tell him is no more of these goddamn goofy stunts you do, unless it's something that we booked and that we're shooting for video and to promote you with. And no more of these goddamn just goofy off the cuff things where you just fling yourself every which way in these matches, because if we're going to make an investment in you, we need you to hold up your end of the bargain and protect your body and take more calculated risks. And that's not what Darby Allin's all about. I don't think he'd make it 15 fucking minutes in the WWE. I don't think they would particularly like it. I don't think he'd like it. Again, Powerhouse Hobbs, they would take him. He would not be a main event guy, but they could certainly do better with him than what's been done. I'm looking at the list of people that we kept and discarded when we went through the AEW roster. And even, the people that I was on the fence about. I mean, I don't know that they would make any difference in the WWE, nor would the WWE want them. The tosses, Jake Hager flunked out of that program. Matt and Jeff Hardy, they don't want them back at this point. The only, I don't see anything. And then the joke crew, no, the only one that's even ever been out of the joke crew in that system was Colt Cabana, and he flunked out of developmental. They didn't like his attitude. And then there's the EVPs and self-trained trampoline cowboys that, even though they've been used in a position there, I would not want on my roster because they're trouble, either personally or behind the scenes politically. WWE made an offer to Twinkle Toes and the Buckaroos just before Tony Khan started this company so that a billionaire wouldn't have access to them. I don't think now that they've seen what the company is, that there's any way in the world the WWE would want the Buckaroos, want to put up with their fucking egos or their smarmy little faces. They'd be a joke next to every other tag team they've got on the roster, physically.
Don't ever forget, it's still WWE. They would still sign talent to hurt another company. And if WWE thought signing the Bucks and Omega would hurt AEW, they would do it in a heartbeat, just like they tried to do at the beginning before it even started.
Well, the offer might be a little lower than what it was before now that they've seen what AEW looks like. And I think they would sign Twinkle Toes. I really do. And I think that they would quickly have nervous breakdowns trying to teach him anything or get him to do what they want him to do. And I think that he would end up
with Heyman. That's the only thing they could try to do.
Well, no, I think that he would end up probably having a nervous mental breakdown because the rest of the locker room would crucify and chastise him until he went out of his mind because he's a weirdo and he wouldn't get over there. He's like one of those, kids in the advanced classes that get special attention from the teacher. He wouldn't be getting that in the WWE because he wouldn't deserve it, and nobody gets it. And the other guys would fuck with him, and he wouldn't be able to take care of himself or put up with it or whatever, and he would be out of his mind. Adam Page, bleh. They might want Dino Douche because of the body, but then they'd put him in developmental, and then they'd figure out that's all they got. Oh, I forgot. They did, and they did, and he did, and they did, and he's been out of there. So, and you think at this point Jericho's coming? He just signed a 10-year contract anyway. Jericho wouldn't be. So there's nobody in the company that they want to steal. Really? Oh, boy.
What about tag teams?
Well, obviously, FTR would be don't want to say only. Let me think about it. They don't want, the WWE would not want the Acclaimed right now because they're too green and they're too young. They wouldn't want The Gun Boys.
They would want the Guns if Billy was part of the package.
They would want them if Billy was part of the package, and they probably would prosper better there, and that's probably where they'll end up. But right now, they wouldn't be going after the Guns because they're green. They just got rid of Keith Lee. They don't want him and Swerve. They just got rid of Swerve. FTR is the one tag team in this company. I mean, obviously, if you ever see Penthouse and Felix in the WWE, you better goddamn pinch yourself, people, because you're having a fucking acid flashback. The only tag team in this company WWE would want would be FTR, and if the WWE were smart, they would be going after them hot and heavy because their tag team division is dismal right now, as we've just talked about, with 4 or maybe 5 teams, and none of those teams can really work with every other team. They all have different styles, and I don't see a lot of complementary styles in the WWE tag teams, but FTR can work with anybody. The only problem with FTR, they lay out such complicated finishes because they think that everybody can hang with them and they think they can lead people through it. And they're doing much too complicated shit with people that's over their heads. Otherwise than that, they can work with anybody. So of any tag team in AEW, FTR is the only one I think that WWE would be in, and I'm sure they are, because they're watching their work and they're seeing that they're over, even with no push, not just no push whatsoever, but an anti-push. We're going to try to do everything we can to hold them down, and the AEW fans still like them. So imagine if now that there's somebody new in charge, it's not going to make them wear Dr. Seuss outfits or whatever, and the WWE audience is 3 times at minimum what the AEW audience is, and they can go in and shake up the whole tag team division. If I was the WWE, I would be contacting somebody that might know when FTR's contracts were up, Cody Rhodes.
Don't say that. You're going to get someone like Cody Rhodes in trouble. You're going to get someone in trouble.
You've got somebody's phone number that ought to know when some of these contracts are up, Cody Rhodes. So I'm just
stop
saying
that. For the record, there are plenty of people there who have FTR's phone numbers, I would assume.
Well, but a lot of people might not have been involved in high-level espionage in the AEW business office, Cody Rhodes, and know when some of these contracts are up, or what some people are mad at, or who some people are mad at, and how some people feel mistreated, and kind of things to say to appeal to those people who have been mistreated and held down and pissed off by other people's actions.
Brandy Rhodes.
I'm just saying.